In this video, I'm going to show you how to go from one of these to one of these. Let's find out. So if you're a person that's been wanting to have one of these LS-120 emission Superdisk internal drives in your PC, you've probably gone onto those online marketplaces like eBay and been almost discouraged because when you look at the prices for the internal Superdisk drives, they're not on the inexpensive side. Yet when you look up something like an external Superdisk drive, well, you find that number one, there seems to be quite a number of them, but two, they're also relatively inexpensive compared to the more rare to find internal drives. So, well, what can we do about this to still have an internal Superdisk drive, but have it on the less expensive side? Well, we just simply get one of these external ones, and we just change it a little bit so that we get our internal drive out of it. Because the way Imation did this, all that is in, see, this is a Model 2 Superdisk, and this is a Model 1 Superdisk, and we'll look at both of them. But what Imation did to kind of cut costs and simplify things is that, unlike some of their competitors like iOmega, where they made different I/O boards for each of their style drives, whether it's their internal ones or their external ones that use SCSI, parallel USB, etc., what Imation just did is they just took their internal Superdisk drives and put it inside a case with a little tappy USB bridge, which is what this is in the back here that we'll see later. So if you want an internal Superdisk drive, just buy an external one and take it apart. So that's what we're going to do now. And again, we will look at both of these to see the slight variations in the designs and also the internal drives themselves. So let's start with the Model 2 that we have here. So taking these apart is relatively easy. You just need a large Phillips head screwdriver. Start taking these screws out of the bottom here. Now sometimes you can just pull these front covers off like that once you pull the screws out. Sometimes they're stuck on there a little bit, so you'll have to pull the rest of the screws out to get the front panel off. So let's pull those out now. And in the back here we have two long screws because these are used to hold the USB tappy bridge module in place. Now, as I say, these are Model 1 and Model 2 drives. They do have the Model 3 drive, which is USB mass storage, which has a little USB plug on the back instead of this proprietary thing that they're using. But you can still do the same thing if you have a Model 3 drive, should you choose to do that. So the cover just lifts off, and it's inside a little sheet metal housing here, but we can just push on the back side here once we lift it up enough, and our drive will slide right out of it. So there's our internal Superdisk drive. Now, on these Model 2s, they do put a little piece of cardstock on the bottom circuit board here. We can just slowly peel that off, because we won't be needing that inside a computer. That's simply for protection against grounding inside the metal enclosure. So we can pull it off like that. And then here is our little USB tappy bridge. Comes out just like that. And you see from the back, it's got our IDE connection plus a 4-pin Berg connector, and then there's our jumper settings for master, slave, cable select, etc. And as I say, this is the little bridge that they use. So there's our IDE and 4-pin Berg. There's our small power connector. Now the power connector is different between the Model 2 and Model 1 drives, as I found out in my video when I bought a lot of these. And then there's our proprietary connector. Now whether you can reuse this on other drives to make them external, I don't know. I haven't investigated that yet on how this bridge specifically works. I would think that it's possible, but we'll see. So there is our internal drive. Now the only thing you'll have to do is you will have to manufacture a front bezel or faceplate for it, since these obviously will not have one because they were using these as the faceplate. But there are various STL files and other items around online that I have found where you can manufacture these or send them off to a company to have them professionally 3D printed or even CNC machined for one version that I found. So that is the Model 2 drive, and we'll look at the differences on the specs a little bit later. So now, let's compare that to our Model 1 drive. Now I'm taking this one apart too because from my previous video I did again on a lot of these, this one is functional but it has a non-working eject button, so we kind of need to take it out so I can look at the actual hardware on there and see if that is fixable. I'll take this one off. Now this one, let's see. Now this is a case where this is not coming off, so we will need to take off the rest of the screws to pull that out. In this case, we just need to lift the back up a little bit and slide it out, and that will release it. So now we can get that out. You can see that there's a little bit of difference also in the metal casings between versions. Again, this one we can just push and it comes out. But as you see, this one does not have a little piece of cardstock on it like the M2s do. And our USB Atapi bridge is a little bit different because we have an actual Berg wiring harness on here. We pull out like that. So that is the Model 1 USB Atapi bridge that they use inside. And this power connector is a little bit larger. As I say, they're incompatible apparently between each other when they made the revision, which I think is a little silly that you can't reuse, power bricks from Model 1 drives and Model 2s because they're 5 volts, but that was Imation's logic back then. So now we have our two drives. This is from a Model 1 and this is from a Model 2. If we look at this one, this says it's a Model LKM F722, I believe. This one is LKM F933. So this obviously can tell you this is the older one and this is the newer one. And of course the manufacturing dates will give that away as well. So this is the one with the power button we need to look at. And this one I'm actually going to install in a computer that already has a faceplate that's adaptable for putting a Superdisk drive in. So there you have it. We have two different models of internal LS-120 Superdisk drives that just simply came out of two different variations of Model 1 and Model 2 external enclosures. So if you wanted to get a Superdisk internal drive for a computer, this is the less expensive way of attaining one. Hey guys, Brian here. Do me a favor and click that like button down below, and while you're at it, go ahead and click the subscribe button and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any new content when I post it. See you guys in the next one.